Hey everyone, welcome to Beginners Programming. This is going to be episode number 17. Today we're going to be talking about objects and object-oriented programming. As I'm sure you are all acutely aware, Java uses objects. And what is an object? I think that the very basic definition that my Intro to Java teacher gave in my freshman year of college was probably the best definition I've ever heard, and it's simple. An object is a thing that holds stuff. And I know that that seems like it's a tremendous oversimplification. It actually isn't. Another way that you can think about it is an object is it's very much like a variable, except it holds different types of variables that are all closely related. So let's actually break this out and create a new class file. I think the simplest and most topical example that I can use is with a car. So I'll create a few different variables here and just kind of wing it and say every car has a number of wheels. Every car has a number of windows. And every car has some type of fuel economy, which will represent as miles per gallon or liters per kilometer. I don't know. Whatever. For you folks in the EU. And for us to use this, we don't really need to do much of anything else here. We should probably set these to public, but since we're in the same package, it shouldn't matter. So to create a new variable of type car, and that's how this is referred to. So we have a class called car. It is the type of variable will be car, and that just contains 2 ints and a double. So when we create it, we'll say car, and one of my big pitfalls and horrible things that I do as a programmer is I name everything like my car. For the sake of this video, I'll name it like Honda or something like that, or Accord to be more specific. And I guess I'll come in here and do a string and call it like type or brand. Sure. And so, all right, we'll do equals new car. Cool. And so that's how you invoke that sort of thing, right? And so let's just kind of set some values here, and we'll say Accord dot brand equals Honda, and we'll just kind of go through and fill out some fake kind of numbers in here, and let's say it gets 25.0 miles per gallon, and it has 4 wheels and 4 windows. Right, it's all pretty, actually, I mean, I guess it would have 6, but like windshield and yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so 4 wheels, 4 windows, it's a Honda, and it gets 25 miles a gallon. So at this point, you're kind of saying to yourself, like, well, this doesn't do anything differently than just having all the variables there. And the answer is, yeah, you're absolutely correct, right? Like, we've made a collection of things that are similar, but just having a collection of things that are similar doesn't necessarily do anything. So just to get started, let's start to show some of the value of why you might use an object. So we can come in here and change this around slightly and just do like this. So this is what's called a constructor. So basically, this sort of ugly representation is just an empty constructor, which means that I can make a new car variable and there's nothing in it, Or I can give it a complex constructor, which looks something like this. So I'll say int wheels, int windows, double mpg, string brand, and then I can make a new car variable this way. So I'll say this dot wheels equals wheels, this dot windows equals windows, and so I'll explain what the this word means in just a second. This dot, oh my god, my typing skills today are really not all that they should be. And this dot brand equals brand. Okay, great. So the reason I chose to name the arguments that are passed into this default constructor the same as what's in the class is to show you guys the this keyword. So if I were to remove the this keyword, this line would now be an error, and it would say this variable's already assigned, because I'd be acting on the argument, and it would never get saved to our actual class. And I know that that's a little bit confusing. So the way to think about it is these are sort of like when we pass something into a method, it exists within a scope, right? So all these variables that are coming in as arguments exist outside of the scope, and they're temporarily in the scope. So the way that we save them to the object is through this assignment. And where the names are the same between wheels, so I have wheels here and wheels here coming in as an argument, what differentiates them is the this keyword. So this keyword means the thing that is inside of this object. We could also change it to just having one be named wheel, like that, and having different named values will allow us to do the assignment the same way. It really is only to get rid of naming ambiguity. So moving back to just showing you guys kind of why this might be something that anybody ever wants to do, we can now say car court, yeah, ACCORD, or no, let's do like Sonata equals new car, and so what is it, 4430, and that's a Hyundai. So now I can declare a car that way, and that's a pretty cool shorthand way of doing things, right? But this still doesn't give us too much of a reason to ever actually use it. So what if there's some type of computation that needs to get done in here, or something that I want to make happen? Well, objects can also have methods inside of them. So if I make a method in here, say public void, I'll just call it like output variables, and that's not going to take any arguments, or actually I'm just going to call it output, just because that feels a little cleaner. So then I can just do a couple of lines like system.out.println, and just do something like this. The number of wheels is, and I'll just kind of copy this a few times and say, okay, cool. I need to close that. Okay, and so we'll say wheels, windows, the G, and the brand is, and then go back and change these to all being the correct values. Okay, and now to output everything for both cars, I can just do something like this. Dot output and Sonata dot output. And then when I run this, I suppose I should probably do this a little differently and just add like a blank line in between the two. Just so there's a little clarity there. So when I hit run, we wait a minute. And so it prints everything out, and it's cool. It saves us a little bit of time, it saves us a little bit of effort. But this is really most useful when you have large collections of things, obviously more than two. And you're probably going to be dealing in stuff that has a little bit more than four variables. And so just to finish this with something that's a little bit different, let's assume that miles per gallon is not a computed value, right? Like it's not something that we pass in, but it's something that needs to be determined. So like let's say we have something called like fuel capacity. Let's save MPG as an idea, but like double fuel capacity, and we'll also have double max range. And so we'll have those two variables, and then we'll have something called like so this is going to be public void, and this is going to be compute MPG, and that's going to take a double called fuel and a double called range, and we're going to say MPG equals range divided by fuel, right? So that all makes complete and total sense. But now we have this weird thing that we've arrived in where we take in the MPG here. So this actually needs to be changed. And so what I'm going to do, just so you guys have this, is actually let's copy that and then comment it out. And I'll come down here and get rid of the MPG and replace this with double max range and double fuel capacity. And I'm replacing that with max range equals, this dot max range equals max range, and lastly fuel capacity equals fuel capacity. And I need this again. Oh my god, can't type today. For those of you wondering, this is a new keyboard still, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. And then, actually, let's just change this to an int, or a double, because MPG is double. And I can say, best way to do this, because I set it here. So yeah, let's do return range divided by fuel, and that will let me say this dot MPG equals compute MPG max range, comma fuel capacity. Great. And that way we've now, so inside of our constructor, which is how we build out our I didn't mean to do that. How we build out our object is, the method by which we compute miles per gallon. And since the other, our Honda Accord up here is using a default constructor, it doesn't have to go through that. I can pass in whatever variables I want. I can leave out variables if I so choose to, as long as they're not called in this output, method. It's not going to be a big deal. If for whatever reason I build it and I remove one of these, we'll actually get an error because it's going to try to call a variable that doesn't exist. So in this case, I'm supposed to be passing in two doubles. So I'm supposed to be passing in max range and fuel capacity. So I guess I'll say max range is 450 and 0.0, and the fuel capacity is going to be like 15.0 gallons. And as you can see, it sort of breaks that out for us. So when I give this a run, you'll find that we end up with more or less the same kind of stuff. Oh crap! I think I did that backwards. Fuel capacity should not be 0.0003. So I did range divided by fuel. So that seems right. Because I think I flipped these. Yeah, so fuel capacity, comma, max range. Remember, kids, pass in your variables in the right order. So in this case, the the miles per gallon came out correctly. But now I can do a thing where, if I so choose to, and I'm going to do this wrong the first time, just to illustrate what I was saying earlier, and say the max range of the car is n plus max range. And what's wrong about this is not anything in here, it's the fact that in our Accord, we don't specify a max range. So when we run this, it's actually going to error because that variable is it zero filled it. So in some older versions of Java, the fact I'm running Java 10, it might have some type safety there where it initializes it to 0. But if you're running something a bit older like Java 7, that might not work for you. And as you can see down here, max range is filled out for the Hyundai, and it is 450, which we specified. So alright, that's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. This has been episode 17. Have a good one.